At this time, it is my great pleasure to introduce this year's commencement speaker. We at the Price School take great pride in training future leaders and difference makers in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors who are not only driven to advance their respective fields, but also committed to service and giving back to the community. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from our distinguished speaker, Austin Beutner, whose career exemplifies the signature qualities of the USC Price School. Most recently, Austin was the publisher and CEO of the Los Angeles Times and the San Diego Union-Tribune. And he was the first ever publisher to serve in both roles. Earlier in his career, he worked at the Blackstone Group, and at the young age of 29, became the firm's youngest partner. Austin left Blackstone to serve in the US government, where he led efforts to help Russia transition to a market economy after the collapse of the Soviet Union. He went on to found Evercore Partners. As president and CEO, he built the firm into one of the leading independent investment banks in the world. In 2010, he returned to public service, accepting a $1 annual salary to serve as the first deputy mayor and job czar for the city of Los Angeles. And in that role, he oversaw 13 city departments that included housing and homelessness, city planning, building and safety, the Port of LA World Airports, and the Department of Water and Power. In addition, Austin offers his leadership by serving on the boards of numerous foundations and is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. He also serves on the advisory board for our USC Bedrosian Center on Governance and the Public Enterprise. In 2012, he created Vision to Learn, a nonprofit that provides free eye exams and glasses to children in low-income communities across the country. So please give a hearty welcome to Austin Beutner.
Good morning. I'd like to thank you, Dean Knott, President Nikias, the USC Board of Trustees, and faculty for the honor of addressing you. Parents, you've gone above and beyond anything your kids could have expected from you, including the friend request you sent them on Facebook when they started school. And if they haven't accepted it yet, you're not alone. I'm still waiting for my kids to respond to mine. But seriously, graduates, if you take nothing else away from my talk today, please remember to thank those who have supported you in your studies and your journey to get you here today. And if you would, stand for me and acknowledge your supporters in the audience, please. Students in the class of 2016, congratulations. Countless hours of lectures, research, and hard work have got you here. Today, however, is more than a recognition of your hard work. You've now agreed to take on the mission of the Price School, right behind me there, to improve the quality of life and people in communities around the globe. And I know I speak for everyone here when I say we can't wait to see what you do next. No, seriously, we can't wait. You don't need to look any further than the mood of the electorate in the current presidential race to know many people in our country are not happy with the status quo. Our country is undergoing a dramatic transition driven in part by two factors, demographics and technology. On the whole, these are very good things. Our nation's embrace of people of all walks of life from anywhere in the world has made our country great. New tools and technology have improved the quality of life for all who live here. But changing demographics and new technologies are also presenting new problems, and they create new solutions to deal with them. Right here in Los Angeles, you've had the great fortune of receiving a world-class education in the heart of a global city. You're surrounded by a diversity of people and ideas, and our diversity has set an example for the nation to follow when it comes to tolerance and acceptance. Los Angeles is a city where over 200 languages and dialects are spoken, a city where more than half the children in public schools have parents born in other countries, a city where you can enjoy Korean barbecue, Salvadoran pupusas, and of course kale all in the same block. This city has welcomed immigrants for generations, All of you have worked with and studied with immigrants and first-generation Americans. Many are sitting with you today, and one, me, is speaking to you right now. California's immigrants are producing the technological innovation that's changing the world. California alone is the 8th largest economy in the world, and Los Angeles would be in the G20 if it were a country. Yes, California is indeed where America comes to see its future. Yet here in Los Angeles, more than 25% of the people in the workforce, yes, those with jobs, live in poverty. It's been 50 years since President Johnson declared a war on poverty, yet today more Americans live in poverty than ever before. I'd be remiss in my duties today if I didn't offer some suggestions, and here comes my first bit of advice. Be honest. Seems kind of basic, right? But candor is a trait all too often missing in many public policy discussions. Each of my children played soccer as little kids, and at the end of the season, all of them received big trophies for participating. That's okay for youth soccer, but it's not for government. A candid diagnosis of a problem won't substitute words like "we are making progress" for words like "we don't have an answer for that" or "we are failing." As a first-generation American, I had the good fortune of growing up during one of the most prosperous periods in our country's history. I grew up in a safe neighborhood and went to public schools at a time when American public schools were considered the best in the world. I found jobs along the way, including a job driving a delivery truck for a florist while in high school. When you visit a house on every block in a small town delivering flowers on Valentine's Day, you have a very good sense of what's happening in that community. I was Snapchat 30 years before it existed. But many of the conditions I grew up in are changing. We're entering a new gilded age of the haves and the have-nots. Income and wealth inequality are on the rise, and America's middle class is contracting. The per capita median income in San Francisco is more than 50% higher than it is here in Los Angeles. We used to only see gaps like that when comparing America to the less developed world. The majority of children in public school in America now live in poverty, the first time in our nation's history. And they're struggling to perform, struggling to achieve in school, perpetuating the cycle of poverty. A recent study found only 37% of high school graduates can do math or read at a college level. Where will the remaining two-thirds find good-paying jobs? Back to Los Angeles just for a moment. Let me share a few of the challenges we face here in addition to the need for jobs and better schools. Violent crime is rising, up more than 20% in the last 2 years. And it's not satisfactory to say to the families of the victims, but crime is still much lower than it was 20 years ago. The population of homeless is rising in Los Angeles, and no solution is in sight. Despite a fair amount of hand-wringing, the truth is, absent a significant amount of money to provide shelter, the problem will not get better. Where's that money going to come from? LA's streets and sidewalks are broken. Over 40% of the roads are rated D or below in the city's own grading system, yet there is no plan to fix them. So if we're being honest here today, the challenge of how to address deeply rooted poverty in our country is one the baby boomer generation has not made much progress on. You need to apply what you've learned, your smarts, your dedication, and your fresh thinking to help solve these problems. And we need you to start by being honest and recognizing we have not made enough progress. My second bit of advice, be careful about looking for faster horses. If you'd asked transportation experts in the early 1900s what we needed, most would have said faster horses. Not one would have mentioned the car as a solution. Keep that in mind as you look at digital solutions and policy solutions for a digital economy. Your smartphones have replaced watches, cameras, calculators, flashlights, and even the mailman. Combining all those into your pocket has made your pockets lighter and your lives significantly better. The introduction of ride-sharing apps for these mobile devices is changing the work status of drivers and the culture of major cities. When ride-sharing apps are introduced in cities, DUI arrests and accidents go down. Automated driving could make our cities and our roads even safer, removing human error. The policy conversation, however, quickly becomes more profound when you look outside the doors and windows of those cars. Nearly 3 million men in America today work as drivers. That accounts for almost 5% of males in the labor force, many of whom could see their jobs handed over to a driverless vehicle. To put that in perspective, the #1 job in more than half the states in this country is a driver, trucks, buses, livery, and the like. Let's dig a little deeper on this and come local. Driverless cars won't get parking tickets, they won't need to pay to park at a meter, and they won't speed. The city of Los Angeles today takes in more than $300 million in revenue on tickets and parking, approaching 5% of its budget. The city better start thinking now how it's going to replace those revenues, will be forced to cut services as its revenues decline. Automated driving will require new technology and engineering, infrastructure needs, and use will change. A driverless truck carrying fruits and vegetables from California to Ohio in the winter won't stop at night to allow the driver to sleep. The consumer benefits of rideshare apps and driverless vehicles is obvious. The cost to society is much more complex and will be borne by both individuals and society as a whole. Workers will need to find good-paying jobs which benefit from this new economy, and the solutions will not be simple, and faster horses will not do the trick. My final piece of advice: go after big problems, but recognize many of them are comprised of small parts. Let's revisit the issue of poverty again and look at one of the factors which can cause a child to be left behind. I spoke earlier of the startling fact that more than half of kids in public schools live in poverty. What if I told you that 20% of these kids lack the glasses they need to see the board, read a book, or participate in class? 1 in 5 cannot count the fingers on my hand from the back of the classroom. And what if I told you this happens here in Los Angeles, not Timbuktu and Mali? Far too many children across the country lack the basic necessities that allow them to arrive at school ready to learn. In low-income communities, 95 out of 100 kids who need glasses do not have them, and it's awful hard to succeed in school if you can't see the board. A local not-for-profit, Vision to Learn, was created to solve this problem by bringing the glasses to the kids at schools in their communities. This effort, born and bred in Los Angeles, is quickly becoming a model for the nation. Vision to Learn now operates in 5 states, has screened more than 300,000 kids, and provided almost 50,000 with glasses, all free of charge. The good news? Grades of kids who receive glasses improved almost 10%. The scary news? Almost 70% of the kids who enter the Texas juvenile detention system need glasses. If 20% should need glasses and 70% do, one starts to wonder why. A first grader who needs glasses is misdiagnosed as a behavior problem. A fourth grader needing glasses is misdiagnosed as a slow learner. That same child who receives nothing but negative feedback at school will drop out by the 8th grade and find reward on the streets. Vision to Learn, a simple solution for a problem with profound consequences. Now, Vision to Learn started with an honest diagnosis of the problem. It came up with a new solution, a car, if you will, not a faster horse. And it focuses on a small part of a much bigger problem where it can make an impact. Our world is changing, but good policy and effective implementation can assure that no one is left behind and everyone has a chance to succeed. The work you do will matter. It will matter to the people of our country who see this as a land of opportunity. And it will matter to the children who will no longer have to face the obstacles of a good education or finding a good paying job. Take the Price School mission to heart and work to improve the quality of life of others. Do work that will build a better tomorrow. No matter how daunting the challenges may be, I know you will persevere because you are Trojans. Fight on. Congratulations, class of 2016. Thank you.